Recording. All right. Our today tutorial on Fusion 360, we are going to cover several sections. We'll start with a brief review of the software, and then we'll start with a simple sketch, then how you can create a simple model. Then we will do a couple of simulation, hopefully one a static simulation and one a thermal simulation. So we'll see how things work here. And then we will do an example of topology optimization or shape design optimization. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's share a screen. Okay. All right. You can either follow along or just listen in what I'm doing, and later you can come back to the video and repeat this step. Or if you feel you get bored, why not, if you have your Fusion 360 installed on your device, you can follow along. Right. Since majority of you already are familiar with SolidWorks, transition from SolidWorks to Fusion 360 would be very easy. Or perhaps you have been using other 3D modeling software. Most of them have the same principle. It takes perhaps 10-15 minutes initially to get used to different terminologies that different software they use, or figuring out each icon where it is, or how you can draw something, extrude something, and the rest. But I'm going to anyway go over a few basic principles, making sure that everybody understands. So this is the main environment, as you see on my page. On the left, you see the panel here. I suggest, first of all, make sure that on top you have the education license. It means you correctly installed the right software and you have access to simulation. We will click on new project. It means we are creating a new folder here. You can call it whatever you want, but let's call it UCR Capstone Design. Or you can just simply call it Capstone Design and then press Enter. So as you see on this panel, I have different folders. You see the name here. So it helps me to organize my files. So later when I check for a file, I know where that file is. Keep in mind with Fusion 360, we do not save any file on our computer. We can, but there is not necessary. Everything will be saved unlimited on cloud. So we don't need to be worried about missing a file or damaging a file. So I have, as you see, different folder here. On each folder, let's say if I open the gyro structure, I have two files here, which I've been working on. If I click on home, I return back to my folder here. So I'll click on the UCR Capstone Design, which I just created. As you see, there is nothing here because we haven't created anything. Now let's say this folder, I'm gonna make different models, and I wish that my teammates have access to the same folder. So if I make a change to the model, they can check it, or they will make the change, and also I can see that. So easily on this folder, you can, by clicking on people here, you can invite different people. Just say manage member, and takes a few seconds. And it open up. Okay, it's here. It open up the environment here. And now here easily you can add people. You just need to add their email. Let's say whatever email, the same email that they sign up to have access to Fusion, and you add them. So you can add several people here, and they will receive an email, and then they click approve or confirm, and they have access to the same environment as you do. So that's about that. And now I click on data again here. So I come back to the main environment. And this little icon you see over here, like we have the UCR Capstone Design that we just created. And then we have this little icon here. If I click on that one, it says open on the web. So this is when I create a model and I want to share the link with someone who doesn't have access to Fusion. So they just open the file on a web browser and they can view the file. So you can explore all of that later on your own. On the main environment here, few quick things. If on the right top corner, you see here my name, so you should see your own name when you created the account. If you click on that and then preference, on preference, on general part, so you'll see some general things which you can play with that. But the most important is that item here in the middle where it says pan, zoom, orbit. So it's if you are used to SolidWorks, for example, you can select SolidWorks and OK. I'm used to Fusion. So it is just for orbiting and zooming and panning and moving the object. So it's not that important, the shortcut to do so. So I'll click Fusion. OK. With Fusion, if I press the middle button on my mouse, then I can simply move an object. So you see I'm moving the object here. We see there is no object, of course, it's just the plane. If I use the scroll, I can zoom in and out, scroll ups and down. And if I press the shift button on my keyboard and the middle, I can rotate. You can do it in different way. For example, maybe you can just simply use, oh, all right, something happened to the mouse. All right, now my mouse has become very slow. If I click on the home button here, then everything's come back to home. Just give me a second, see what I did. That mouse becomes so slow here. All right, so now next is after you figured out, it's just bothering me here. Just give me a second, see how can I return back to the mouse setup that I had. Okay, that's good, back. So again, on preference, if I click on the name preference, here you'll see at the bottom, it says on the left, preview features. Click on the preview features. So we'll find it, preview features. We'll see simulation. Uncheck these new simulation result experience, okay? Again, preview feature, simulation, uncheck that new simulation, and then click yes. Okay, so we uncheck that one and we say okay. So later on, we do the simulation, you'll see it's gonna actually give us some headache if you don't do that. And at the bottom, you have some other features which you can change the view here. This is just for the view. If you don't like the grid, the layout grid, you can zoom in and out. Again, you can use the scroll ups and down. And on the right top, you can have the top view. If you click on these little button icon home, then you can have the home view as well. All right. The next setup is over here on the left. So here is the panel. You can close and open it. If I just close the data panel, click close. If I want to reopen it, I just click on that little show data panel on the left top screen. So it's there. It doesn't do anything. It's just will give us more space here to work with. Okay, so I can close and open that. On the left top, you see I have here the workspace, which right now we are on design. So we have generative design, which we'll later we'll learn about it, render, after we finalize our design and we want to make a report so we can create a nice render. Animation, simulation, manufacturing, drawing, and electronic, which we're not going to use. Mainly in this course, perhaps you use a lot of design and a lot of simulation. The rest is up to you if you want to use it. And manufacturing, if the component you're making needs maybe a CNC, which is a good skill to learn, and you can always ask me and I can show you how you can do that. But for now, we are on the design workspace. All right. At the bottom here, another setup that we need to do, if you look at this little arrow here, I click on that one. It says document setting, and you see it says unit. If I click on this little icon here, then I can change my unit. For example, right now is millimeter, gram, and so on. Maybe I can change it to centimeter, inches, and so on. So the unit always, you can change it even halfway through working and modeling. You can always change the unit, but it's better to set it at the beginning and stick with that. If the components you're making is a small size, maybe you stay with millimeter and or inch. If it's a large component, then you can change it to different units as well. All right. So and lastly here, before we move on to making something, drawing something, here you see it says unsaved. Let's just open that one because we haven't still saved our file. So if I click save, then it asks me for a name. It takes perhaps a while, not a while, maybe a few seconds. All right. So when I give it a name, let's just call it a beam. Because we are going to make a beam anyway here. So we save the file, just give it a few seconds. All right. Now you should see on top here when this file is open, the name is changed to a beam. And on the left panel, you see like that file appeared. We haven't yet started making anything or drawing anything here. But the file is here there. It seems everything's working. So this is the name of the model, and it is under this folder, the UCR capstone design that we created. And we can make, of course, several models, different names, and they're all going to go under that UCR capstone there. Now with this beam, it might be an assembly. It might be a single part, which is easy. It might be an assembly. If it's an assembly, so it means it has different components. We right click on this part. Let's just close this panel here because we don't need that one. See on the left top here, we right click on that, the head of that assembly, and we click on new component. So, and this new component, we give it a name. Let's call it part 1, for example. Okay, maybe our assembly has 3 parts. So again, I click on that head of this assembly, right click again, new component. My second component may be part 2 or an actual name. So remember, if you have a complex assembly, it's better to have the name of the components listed there. Now I have on this assembly part 1 and part 2. I have to be careful when I'm working on part 1, that part should be on. And when I'm working on part 2, by just clicking on this little dot here, it means part 2 is on. And when I'm working on the assembly, clicking there, it means I'm working on the assembly. All right. So I suggest, let's just delete part 2 here. I suggest even if the component that you are modeling has only one part, still treat it as an assembly, right click and create a part here. It makes it easier later to copy it to a different file or do different things with it. And trust me, this is going to be very helpful. All right. So far, we just work on the setup. I'm gonna momentarily stop here